Thank you very much, Leonard. Appreciate it. So I'm going to talk through Anaplan's view on the world, the challenges that we're seeing organizations. Why is that such a challenge for organizations? How Anaplan can help you, and some of the business outcomes that we've delivered for customers. So, right. So as Leonard said, we're living in a world of constant change. We're seeing huge logistical challenges and supply chain disruption that was brought on 2 years ago, but the shadows of COVID are still impacting businesses today. The war in Ukraine is also, making that worse. From a retail perspective, we're also seeing continued uncertainty in terms of where customers are actually going to buy things. Am I going to go into a retail store and go and buy my favorite clothing item, or am I just going to order that online? This is making it extremely difficult for organizations to predict where that consumer demand is going to be moving forward. Adding to that, we're seeing rising costs and inflation. This is putting huge pressure on businesses' margins, and they can't just pass that margin on to the end consumer, because that end consumer themselves is feeling the pinch and also changing their spending habits. Something that I may have spent a lot of money on before, I may be thinking twice about spending it on that thing. And lastly, we're seeing labor shortages. So a great example here is airlines. If you think back just 1.5 years ago, there was no flights. A whole lot of people and labor were not working. There's the shift towards this gig economy. Organizations now are struggling to understand strategic workforce planning. How can I make sure I have the right people in my business to support customer success? And what's the reputational impact if I don't have the right people? Think about standing in the line at an airport. If a couple of those bays are closed, you're going to stand in the line for hours. That is a negative consumer experience, and that impacts your the brand's reputation and your perception of that brand. So all of these things added together are really creating a balancing act for most CFOs. So I have the privilege of speaking to a number of CFOs, and they're all balancing this equation on how do I reduce costs in my organization to maintain margin, but at the same time find ways in which I can drive growth. That's a really simple equation, but it starts to get even more tricky when you start to bring in the sustainability. How do I actually do all of that sustainably? How do I measure it? Do I have the data available to me to measure it? And what we're finding is today, to stay ahead in this constantly changing environment, organizations are finding ways in which they can be digitally transformed. How do I bring in technology to help me become more agile and be more efficient in my organization? Agile to changes. And the reason organizations are really struggling to keep up is, if you think about most organizations, it's split into a number of business areas. For sales, you may have a CRM system where you capture all of that customer data. From an operations point of view, you may have a supply chain management system. From a finance point of view, all of that financial information may be sitting in an SAP or an Oracle, as an example. The challenge that we're finding is when you start to think forward in terms of strategic plans, trying to connect all of that data becomes extremely messy. So if I have a sales forecast, what impact does that have on my supply chain? How do I see that from a financial point of view? What we're seeing in majority of organizations is that that's an absolute nightmare to try and consolidate all of this data to try and make some sense of it. So you have no financial line of sight, and it inhibits your ability to make decisions. Equally, that process is slow and it's complex. So a challenge that you're trying to solve for today, because this world is changing so quickly, the challenge that you were trying to solve has already moved on. So we're helping organizations be a lot more proactive and agile in terms of how they get access to data to connect their people, their plans, and enable themselves to make better and faster decisions. What Anaplan essentially does is connect the enterprise end to end. What that allows you to do is have real-time visibility across your whole organization. So if I do have an increase in sales demand, what impact is that going to have on my inventory levels that I need to store in my warehouses or in my shops? What financial impact might that have on my cash flow, my income statement, and my balance sheet? Do I have the right people in place to actually serve that increased demand? Or if demand drops, the opposite is almost true. So if you think about this, and I'll go on to it in a couple of slides, if I have a sales forecast that is not linked to my inventory or my supply chain, I may overpredict sales and therefore buy too much. The end result is, if I don't sell that, I have a whole lot of obsolete inventory. I was sitting just the other day, in fact, 2 days ago, with the CFO of a very, very large organization here in the Middle East. They had to write off millions and millions of obsolete stock because operations was not connected to sales forecasting. When you do this correctly and you connect all parts of your organization or the value chain, it unlocks cash and it drives EBITDA or profitability. To give you a short example, if you think about, in our experience, just a 2% increase in your demand forecast accuracy can drive a 15%, between 5 and 15% in your inventory holding costs. If you're holding 20 million of inventory, 15% reduction on that is 3 million in cost that you could either avoid or save as an organization. And I have a couple of examples here, and just in terms of some organizations and the benefits that they've seen by using a connected planning platform. One great example would be Carter's, who saved 25 million in inventory holding costs by improving their forecast accuracy. They removed 8 days from their inventory. Microsoft is using Anaplan from a workforce planning perspective to help them understand call center volumes and demand and how many people they should be placing in their call centers. Coca-Cola is another great example. We connected 68 of their bottling plants in just 12 weeks. That unlocked about 200 million in savings from an OpEx perspective. We also helped them through COVID in terms of, from a logistics planning point of view, where to send their trucks. It made no sense to send a truck to a store that might be closed because no one's going to be there to receive the stock. That helped Coca-Cola make much more informed, proactive decisions that had a significant impact on their bottom line. Anaplan has been talking about connected planning for probably the last 7 or so years. And it's great to see that the industry analysts are recognizing Anaplan as a leader in this space. Gartner calls it connected planning and analysis. Anaplan's been calling it connected planning for the last, as I said, 7 years. Right. So we're recognized by Gartner's. We also recognized by Forrester and IDC and a number of the other independent analysts as leaders in the space. And we're very, very proud to be trusted by the world's biggest brands. What you'll see is we also spread across multiple industry verticals and helping these organizations unlock value every day. Just to give you one small example, probably one of my most favorite examples is the work that we're doing with the South Central Ambulance Service in the UK. So PlanIQ is Anaplan's AI ML engine. And what we're helping them do is take in weather data, sporting data, to help the NHS actually place where their ambulances are so that they can get to a particular incident within 7 minutes. Now, in this case, we help them unlock about 10 million in savings. But for me, that's not the most important thing. The most important thing here is we're actually having a real impact on saving lives. If I can help an ambulance get to a patient quicker, we have an opportunity to change an individual's life. And that for me is extremely powerful, going just beyond the financial benefits that we can unlock. About June last year, Anaplan was acquired by a private equity company called Thoma Bravo, who has about 150 billion in assets. They mostly invest in software companies, And their investment hypothesis is that they can turn Anaplan into a category-defining platform for planning. So if you think about the old Siebel days on CRM, that's morphed into Salesforce as that CRM platform. If you think about service management, ServiceNow now dominates that space. From a planning point of view, Excel, all of the different modules that you might find from the ERP players, that's not core to their business. Anaplan will become the de facto planning category defining platform for planning. And as I said in the beginning, it's an absolute privilege for me to be able to help organizations across the Middle East and Turkey start to benefit from this modern technology within their own organizations. I'm going to leave you just with the last two slides as an example. Now, we worked with a health and beauty retailer. They were doing quite well in terms of their forecast accuracy, but they wanted to take that to the next level, at a SKU level. They used Anaplan's AI ML to help them look at their forecasting. They did that over an 8-month time horizon and let that algorithm run. They increased their forecast accuracy by just 1.4%, and that unlocked $4 million in savings. Lastly, and just in summary, what makes Anaplan different to any other technology? I'm going to touch on a few. There's rapid time to value. So on average, we're 4 to 5 times cheaper than the large ERPs, and we can be implemented in 4 to 6 months. It's an extremely intelligent tool. So we have a powerful AI ML engine that leverages Amazon forecasting capabilities. And last, the bottom right, user experience. We pay a huge amount of attention to making sure that users like the platform and they have a really positive experience. It's business owned. And we're finding a lot of, if you can use Excel, you will be very comfortable in Anaplan. And the reason we do that is because we want organizations and employees to adapt and like the platform, because if you don't like it, you're going to go back to your old ways in terms of planning, aka Excel.
So, Andrew, I would like to ask a few questions regarding Anaplan. Yeah, we have heard a lot today from Michelle and Philip, and thank you very much, colleagues, for that. Andrew, the first question I would like to ask you about, like, the fact that we see that Anaplan is like a new name for the Middle East and Turkey. So what has changed during the last period of time? How Anaplan looks to the region? What are the expectations from the region for Anaplan?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Leonard. I think, well, I'm sitting right here in Abu Dhabi right now. So Anaplan is here. We have a massive appetite to continue to invest in the region. We have some wonderful customers already. Some of the hallmark names across the Middle East are already planning with Anaplan. So I'd say that we are here as a technology, one. But equally, there's a lot more for us to do. I think there's a huge amount of benefit and value that we can still bring to the Middle Eastern region as a whole. Organizations here and just being on the ground, experiencing the growth and the thought and the forward thinkingness of the companies here. We want to be a platform that can continue to help them enable, accelerate that growth and leapfrog and go to the next level. So it's a big part of our investment strategy. I've been here the whole week with our managing director, Dane, and the whole purpose of that trip is to see what investments do we need to come and proactively make in this market. So you'll continue. The key message is we are here, and we'll just see more and more and more of Anaplan as we continue to expand and pump investment into this market as well as Turkey.
Andrew, interesting to hear. What are the challenges that you see here in the market? Because you talk to many companies and you see what is the dynamic in the very different industries. What are the challenges that you would probably highlight as the key ones that you observe here in the region? And why do you think that Anaplan can help to resolve them?
Yeah, so I think the key challenges that every organization is facing, I think it's a global macroeconomic challenge that many organizations are facing, right? So supply chain disruption, inflation, etc. one of the things that's really exciting about the Middle East is actually, although there's been a whole lot of disruption around the world, and yes, there is pressure to consolidate costs and find new ways of driving revenue, this market is extremely forward thinking, and they're looking for technologies to help them with AI, ML to get to the next level. So whilst the challenges, I think, are all the same, the good news is that there's technology and platforms that can help solve those challenges. And we've heard from Philip and Michelle today in terms of how Anaplan can help solve supply chain disruption, give you better insight into data, model it, what if scenario, so that you can be more forward thinking and plan those investments. So, you know, I don't think there's any unique challenge that's different here to anywhere else in the world. What I do see as very exciting is actually over here, there's a great opportunity to accelerate growth even quicker than we've seen in the past. But there is the need for technology to help enable that growth.
Yeah, and just the question regarding the technology aspect. So we see like there is a big buzz around the artificial intelligence and the new functionality and new solutions that artificial intelligence allows and brings to the market. I mean, into the companies. What Anaplan does in this space? Is there like anything new that Anaplan introduce, and what is the direction that Anaplan goes in this space?
Yeah, so Anaplan does have AI and ML technology on the platform. So we actually use Amazon's forecasting engine. So it's a service that we leverage from Amazon, and all of those algorithms. So that helps organizations like the example I gave with Plan IQ and the ambulance service. It has the ability to pull in external data, analyze that through an AI ML engine, and help give a prediction in terms of what an organization should be doing. Now that helps free up organizations and finance teams time so that they can focus on those more value-added activities. But if you think about it from a retail perspective, taking in data like when is Eid, for example, or if there's a big sporting event, or if there's a big Expo 2020 in Dubai, we can help take historical data, put that through an AI ML engine, and help organizations better predict what impact that's going to have. How much stock should I have in my stores on that day? That's going to, if it's Eid, for example, or there's even in a conversation I was having the other day, if a road is blocked, it has an impact on the number of people in the store. We can start to help organizations. If we capture that event, we can help organizations predict what that may be like in the future. So if there is a big event or if there is Eid and that shifts, that AI ML is helping them do that. So I think that a long answer, but we do have AI ML built in, and it's leveraging some of the best technology in the world with Amazon Forecast.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say that the example you shared about the ambulance in London, so it's a really great thing. And we always thinking that it's one thing to have the good business results, but it's also really good to have the impact on real life of people and the way like they work and even lives. So it's a really great example. Thank you very much, Andrew. And colleagues, I just a couple of words from my side. I wanted to thank you attending the session from Planning side. And here you can see on the screen the contacts, so you can visit our site or write us to the email. Zainab from Planning team will be happy to pick up any question if you'd like to see any demo, and also team from Anaplan, so you can choose and write any contacts you see here on the screen. So, and I wanted to thank again Michelle and Philip for the stories they shared. It's really proud to see the results, and this is what makes sense of what we are doing. Yeah, to see this result. Thank you very much.
Yeah, enough of the thanks, and if I can just echo my thanks to both Michelle and Philip. You know, we're obviously very proud and thankful that we've been able to impact your business in a positive way. A lot of IT implementations are just IT implementations, and they go on for months and months and months and months, and there isn't the ability for organizations to actually realize tangible value. So thank you for sharing your stories and insights, and we look forward to continuing the fruitful partnership together for many years ahead. So thank you very much.